congrats on making it to week 4, day number 3. You made it through the whole program. Hopefully you have went through the whole program in order from the first workout to the last workout and have not skipped workouts just because you missed a day. There's no missing a day. You just make it all the way through. So I'm not going to talk too much about what we're actually doing today, except go hard. It's the last day of the program, so go hard and or go as hard as you can. If you're beat down, if you're wore out, you're sore, you're tired, just give your best effort for the day. But this is the last week, so we're peaking in intensity. Last week, last day, should be really, really tough. So push it, go hard. What I want to talk about on this last day is what you should do now, what you should do next after you finish up the program. So, of course, you could go on and do a different type of program. You could go on and work on something else. Maybe during this program you found some weaknesses, you found some things you need to work on. I will say this, there is no substitute for having a coach and having individualized, personalized programming designed just specifically for you, specifically with your goals in mind and what you need to do, right? Because this program that you just did, it's a 4-week blanket program that's just designed with the general population in mind, the general public, and really and truthfully, you probably have some needs that were not addressed in the program. And there's some exercises that you probably need to be doing that weren't in the program. There's probably things you need to focus on outside of the program and things like that. So it's really best to have a coach and to really honestly keep that coach for long term, because when I get a client, it takes me 3, 6 months, a year to really learn that client. 2 years to really learn the client, right? Because it just takes a while to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes what a client thinks works for them doesn't work for them. And sometimes what a coach thinks will work for a client doesn't work for the client, right? And as you have trained for a really long time, that specificity becomes more important. So that's why it's important to have a coach. I typically, when I was training for CrossFit and trying to compete at the highest level I could in CrossFit, I always had a coach, and I had an individualized coach there for the past couple of years that he knew me up and down. He would write my programming every single week. So, but if you're not ready to get a coach, or if you're really, really new, there's no need yet. Unless you want to go ahead and start establishing that relationship with a coach and building that rapport and letting them get to know you as an athlete. That's the only reason I would say, if you're new to lifting and new to exercising, to go ahead and get a coach. Or if they're going to be able to coach you in person and watch your movements or watch videos of you doing your movements, stuff like that, and actually make sure that you're moving properly. But outside of that, in the beginning, when you're a beginner, you're going to make gains fast, tons of gains really quickly. So you could literally just take this program and repeat it. Now, if this program really worked for you, you want to do this program again, you can repeat this program. And what I would say to do is, now you could either take what I would do is I'd start back week 1 of the program next week, and I would just start light. I'd take a deload week, okay? I'd take an easy week. Maybe you go back to even lighter weights than you originally started with in week 1. If you're feeling really beat up after week 4. But if you're not feeling really beat up after week 4, what I would do is go back to this program and look at your weights that you did on week 2. Try to do the weights that you did on week 2 on week 1, and then continue getting harder and increasing the intensity on week 2, week 3, week 4. So that'll step you down a bit. So you're peaked out here on week 4. You've really been going hard. And then if you go back to week 1 and go with lighter loads, lighter weights, less reps, you're going to step back down here. So when you repeat this program, ideally what you want is, after every 3 to 4 weeks, you want a deload. And that's just a week that you're really going through the movements, you're going through the motions, but you're not really pushing your body. You're putting a little bit of weight, a little bit of strain, a little bit of stress on your body, but it's a lot less than what you have been doing, hence the term deload. What that does is it's going to allow your body to really recover. And then once you're really recovered, now you're going to be able to attack for the next 3 weeks of that cycle and really, really go hard. And then you do a deload again. I would suggest, you could repeat this program 3 times. After you repeat it 3 times, I do suggest like every 12 weeks or so, just taking a complete week off. Taking a full week off doesn't mean that maybe you don't train at all, but like if you do train, it's half of what you normally would do. So if you train 6 times a week, you'd only train 3, and also at half intensity. So like whatever type of training you do, you would do it at half intensity. And I suggest doing that every 12 weeks. Man, let your body recover, let your body heal, let your joints heal, let everything, get back to normal. So you can repeat the program. You can also sub out movements. Stick to the same muscle groups if you're going to sub out a movement. But like, for instance, on week 4, day 3, we've got goblet squats. Okay. You could sub out the goblet squats with a similar exercise. You could do dumbbell front squats. You could do belt squats. You could even do Cossack squats or lateral lunges and just do 8 per leg. So you could do a single leg exercise like that. You could do single leg squats. But as long as you're working the same muscle group, you could now, in the second time through, sub out exercises for different exercises that work the same muscle groups. But just make sure that they do work the same muscle groups, and they get a similar stimulus. Another thing that you can do going back through the program is like you look at day 1, you look at week 1, day number 1. In the conditioning, there was 8 rounds of 20 seconds, near max effort on the bike, 1 minute easy recovery pace, 30 seconds of actual rest. You could up the rounds your second time through the program if you're recovering really well, and you could just up the rounds, up it to 10 rounds if you have time, right? You could up the rounds there. You could up the rounds on day 2 as well. But the main key is make sure that you're progressing from week to week to week. Don't up the rounds on week 1, day 1, and then not up the rounds on week 1, day 2. Week 2, day 1, right? You want to keep progressing, deload, progress, deload, progress. And that's the path. That's the lifetime path to strength and conditioning there, basically. Thanks so much for completing the program, for downloading the program. I would love some feedback. If you liked the program, please let me know. Share that with me. If you've got any questions about going through the program a second time, if you want recommendations for individual coaches, maybe I can coach you individually. I don't have, because I work a full-time job, I don't have a ton of slots open. Actually, I have none open at the moment that I'm making this video. But hit me up about individualized programming. If you want somebody to write workout programs for you, like if I can't do it, I know people who can, and I know of resources, websites, companies that can write that program for you that I know, that I trust, that will do a good job. So hit me up if you are interested in that. And one day I am going to make a Jiu-Jitsu Strong Level 2. And that Level 2 is going to step it up, and it's going to increase the amount of days you're working out. It's going to increase the amount of time you're working out. Overall workout volume is going to increase, and the movements are going to change. They're going to get more complex. So look out for that. Jiu-Jitsu Strong Level 2, and then eventually a Level 3 for advanced, for those that are advanced, and then eventually a Pro, which is for people who are young, and they're really trying to compete, and they are recover really well, able to train really well. So be looking out for those coming in the distant future probably. All right, thank you.